One thing I remember from high school, mitochondria is powerhouse of the cell. Wonder what that really means. Oh wait, I know. I'm the teacher. All right, this is Norris Teaches Science again, starring Mr. Norris, Biology Edition. Today we're going to talk about cell organelles. So by end of the video, I can explain the different cell organelles, their functions, and which type of cell they are found in. I know that's a lot to take in, but it's not that hard. I'm going to walk you through it. Before we begin, let's talk about what are cell organelles. Well, in the sense they are structures specialized to perform distinct processes within a cell. So they're there to do something, whatever it is. I mean, control it, make energy, be food, who knows? We're going to talk about that today. Some are membrane bound. What that means is that they're kind of encased in a little envelope with all the stuff around it. And one of the most important ones is the nucleus. It's like the brain of the cell. And that's where we're going to start. We're going to start with the brain, known as the nucleus. All right. Its job is to control all cell functions, and it's the storehouse of the DNA. So I'm going to make an analogy here. At our school, the nucleus would be our principal. Now, the nucleus is found in both plant cells and animal cells, and it's not found in prokaryotic cells. So it has to be found in eukaryotic cells. The next organelle-ish type thing is called the cytoplasm. It's a clear fluid inside the cell, and it's basically there to hold the organelles. It also has some of the nutrients and other stuff the cell needs to survive. It is in plant cells, animal cells, and prokaryotic cells. Remember, both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells have cytoplasm. If we do an analogy in our school, the cytoplasm would just be the air. The air has everything you need. All right, so we just did cytoplasm. Let's do plasma membrane, or also known as the cell membrane. You can use either term. Its job is to maintain homeostasis. Do you remember what homeostasis is? I talked about it in the characteristics of life video. If not, it is to maintain internal conditions that are balanced. If you don't remember the 8 characteristics of life, I suggest you take a look at the characteristics of life video again just to get familiar with it, because that stuff's going to come back almost every unit or video we talk about. Plant cells, animal cells, and prokaryotic cells all have plasma membranes. Remember, it's one of the 5 common ones between pro and eukaryotic cells. So if you think about this, this would be the inside, it would be the doors of our school. And the reason why is because it also maintains what comes in and what goes out. The next organelle is something called the mitochondria, and this kind of clues into how I started the video. People call the mitochondria the powerhouse of the cell. And the reason why they call the mitochondria the powerhouse of the cell is because the mitochondria's job is to make energy known as ATP for the cell. And it does it through a process called cellular respiration. We're going to have a future video all about cellular respiration. It's a really interesting process, but that's what the mitochondria does. And it's in animal and plant cells, only eukaryotic cells. The next one is the cell. Oh, let me go back. If we think about the mitochondria into a school, it would be the generators that produce all the electricity for us to do stuff. Gotta remember those analogies. Cell wall, its job is protection and extra support. The thing about cell walls, they are only found in plant cells only. And if it's a plant-like prokaryote, they have them as well. But that was a lot to play, so just think plant cells only. So if we think of the analogy of cell walls, I would say that the walls of the school, the outside walls, would be the cell wall if the school was a plant cell, but sometimes it's not. The next one's the ribosomes. I kind of clued into this a little earlier in a future video that I was going to talk about ribosomes. Ribosomes' job is to make protein. We're gonna have a future videos about the process of making protein, known as protein synthesis. It is Ribosomes are found in both prokaryotic and eukaryotic cells, so it's in animal cells, plant cells, and prokaryotic cells. It's really important. All cells need to be able to make protein. Sometimes protein is the food for the cell. There's two types of ribosomes in a cell. If it's a eukaryotic cell, there's two types. You can have the free ones, which just move around, or the bound ones, which are bound to something called the endoplasmic reticulum. Speaking of the endoplasmic reticulum, and I should go back, ribosomes. Um, it's just if we compare it to the school, you're talking about teachers, because I'm considering protein as knowledge, so teachers make knowledge. The endoplasmic reticulum, its job is protein transport systems. Um, it's in animal cells and plant cells or eukaryotic cells only. You have the smooth ERs, which have no ribosomes, and the rough ERs that has ribosomes. So since ribosomes are the teachers, the endoplasmic reticulums would be the classrooms. Vacuoles, their job is to store food, water, or other things. It's a storage thing. They are only found in eukaryotic cells, so in plant cells and animal cells, but it depends on which one you talk about, how it looks. Plant cells only have one large vacuole, while animal cells will have small, multiple vacuoles. So, comparing our school, I'm just going to consider it an animal cell. All the little storage rooms that store all the little supplies that the school needs, those will be the vacuoles. All right, the chloroplast, its job is to make food or sugar, also known as glucose, and it does it through a process called photosynthesis. There'll be a future video talking about process of photosynthesis, just some basic stuff. But that's what the chloroplast does. It does the process of photosynthesis. It's filled with something called chlorophyll, and it's only plant cells. Only plant cells are going to have a chloroplast. So if the school was a plant cell, who or what would be the chloroplast? Well, the only thing that deals with food in the school would be the cafeteria workers, so they would be the chloroplast. Lysosomes, its job is to break down cellular waste and is also for digestive functions. It's only found in a eukaryotic cell because it's membrane bound. So you're talking about animal cells and plant cells. So if you think of the school as a cell, what gets rid of all the waste? We're talking about our custodial staff, which are really important to a school. The next one is called the Golgi Apparatus. Its job is a protein packing plant or protein refinery. So the ribosomes make the protein, the knowledge, and then the protein goes to the Golgi apparatus for it to be used somehow. Golgi apparatuses are only found in eukaryotic cells like animal and plant cells. So if we do an analogy, I would say that the Golgi apparatus is like the students. You guys are taking the knowledge the teachers present and using it in a new way. So good job for watching this video, you Golgi apparatuses, you. The next one is called the Centrioles. Their job is to aid in cell division and make something called mitotic spindle formation during cell division. Now, centrioles are only found in animal cells of eukaryotic cells. So at the school I teach at, we have two assistant principals, and they help with a lot of stuff. They divide up all the work that the principal just cannot get done. So our two assistant principals would be considered the Centrioles. So Centrioles are the assistant principals. And this organelle is called the Nucleolus. It's found inside the nucleus, and its job is for assembling the ribosomes. And remember, the ribosomes are the teachers. So the types of cells would be animal cells or plant cells. And that means it's only in eukaryotic cells. It can only be in eukaryotic cells because prokaryotic cells don't have nucleuses, so they don't have nucleolus. So if we do this analogy, we know that it's located inside the nucleus, and the nucleus is the principal. It has to basically get the teachers for the school. So we're talking about the brain of the principal being the nucleolus. I know it's kind of far out there to think of it like that, but that's just how a good analogy would work for it. And with that, we reach the end of all the organelles that I am going to cover. There are other organelles out there for the cell. So if you want to learn more about some of these organelles I talked about or know about all the organelles that could be in a cell, go check out the Google and search and learn some more on your own. But like I always say, I hope you learned something. And this is Mr. Norris, and he is signing out.